Hi, I'm Mother Megan at the St. John's Ithaca YouTube channel. Welcome for our first official tester installment of horrible Bible stories for curious children. Today, we are going to launch our channel with the very exciting adventure of the time that St. Paul preached a bad sermon. All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready for our story time? I have here off camera 2 experimental children who are going to listen and react to my story. Okay?
You gotta tell them that we're related, or else they're gonna think it's a kidnapping, and that's not gonna be fun.
It has been pointed out to me that I should explain that I'm related to these children and I have not kidnapped them.
Yes. She has not.
Okay. Our story begins with Paul, important guy, St. Paul. You know who St. Paul is, right?
Yeah.
He's the guy who travels around the whole world at the time, and he preaches about Jesus. And he is very good at it. Everybody is very impressed by St. Paul. He writes a lot of letters that go on to become the Bible. But one of the things about Paul is that he talks a lot. He talks a lot. It's part of why his letters are so long, and then they become the Bible. So, Paul goes to visit this one particular church with his whole posse, because by this point, Paul has become very famous, and he has like a whole gang of his friends. He's got Barnabas, and he's got Titus, and he's got John Mark, and he's got Luke, and he's got all his friends with him. And they roll into town, and the local church is like, "Oh, Paul, it's going so badly. You don't even know. Paul, like, the Romans are coming after us. Half our people are in jail. The other half have been fed to lions. Paul, it's awful. We don't even know what to do." And Paul's like, "Look, I got this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a speech. I'm going to give you such a great speech before I leave tomorrow morning." So Paul starts talking. He starts giving them a speech. And they're all up in this tower on the top floor of this building. And Paul starts talking. And he's talking great. He is giving them this inspirational speech that would make you cry to hear it. It's like Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights meets Ted Lasso. It's beautiful. Like, people are crying. People are being moved. Like, hearts are being broken. It's beautiful. Paul keeps talking. And he keeps talking. And he keeps talking. And he keeps talking. And he keeps talking, and he keeps talking, and hours go by, and hours go by. And now there's this kid who is listening to Paul. And the kid, we're going to call him Jim Bob. The kid is sitting in the window of the upper floor of this house, and he's listening to Paul. And now it's like past midnight. And this kid has not had a lot to eat because he can't leave, because it's the sermon, and you can't leave in the middle of the sermon. So he's sitting there, and there are all these people packed in the room, and he's getting kind of hot, and Paul keeps talking, and he keeps talking, and the kid falls asleep. Jim Bob falls asleep in the window. Here's the thing. First century windows did not have glass, and they did not have screens. So Jim Bob fell asleep in the window, and he fell out of the window, fell all the way down to the ground, and Jim Bob died. Yep. Jim Bob died. Oops. And took a couple minutes for everybody to realize that, hey, Jim Bob fell out of the window. Whoops. And when they did, everybody was like, "Oh no, oh no." And so Paul stopped what he was doing. Everybody ran outside, ran down to the ground, and surrounded Jim Bob. Oh no, he's not breathing. Oh no, what are we going to do? And Paul is like, "Again, I got this. No biggie." And so Paul leans over, says, "Jim Bob, the Lord heals you." And Jim Bob came back to life.
Yay! Yay.
Isn't that a crazy story?
Yeah.
The kid who was so bored in one of the sermons that he died?
Yes. Maybe
So
that's where bored to death came from.
maybe. So I wonder if Paul preached differently after that.
He could have.
He could have.
He could have.
Do you think maybe he was like, maybe I should preach differently and not kill people with my sermons anymore?
My boring sermons.
Yeah.
Great.
I also wonder how Paul felt when he saw Jim Bob like fall out of the window.
Did he see him fall out the window?
He had to realize it eventually because he had to bring Jim Bob back to life. He's the one who did that, so he realized that, this kid used to be in the window and now he's down on the ground dead. So I wonder how that made Paul feel.
Sad, probably. But then he brought him back to life, so he's like, oh no, it's fine. I don't have to feel sad anymore. He's back to life. I killed him, and now he's back.
Mm-hmm.
I killed him with my boring speech.
I wonder what makes a sermon interesting so that you don't fall asleep and fall out the window.
When you do it? Well, you're not waving your hands around and just talking about random, weird, boring Bible stories. You're actually connected to life. They just talk about it at my church.
I've clearly paid them.
Wait, what?
I've clearly paid them.
No?
What else makes sermons interesting? What makes something interesting to listen to?
When they're funny.
When they're funny.
Mostly. I've fallen asleep during church at my church because they were so boring too.
So have I. When I was a kid, I fell asleep. Well, see, this is part of the reason we have this series now is so that you can know what the really interesting parts of the Bible are, where people die or get tent poles ran through their heads, or are stabbed on the toilet, so that you are sitting in church and you're like, I'm very bored, and I will pull out my Bible and read the interesting parts.
Or get diseases.
There are a lot of parts in the Bible where people get diseases.
Yeah. That one
Also
where he had to go in the
Bible
water
where
with the river.
Yep.
What was that called again?
Leprosy.
Leprosy.
Yep.
So much leprosy.
There is a lot of leprosy.
There's a lot of leprosy in the Bible.
Yep.
They talk about leprosy a lot.
So that is our first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have things that you wonder about the Bible, leave them in the comments or send us an email. I hope you tune in again. Have a wonderful day.